Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ulrich Caspar, President of the IHK Frankfurt.
Good morning and warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to all of you here in the room, as well as to the audience joining us online. Welcome to the Frankfurt Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We are very glad to host today's forum on US-European geoeconomics. Dear Mr. Kempe, and we're still waiting for Mr. Gabriel, but he should be here soon. The Atlantic Council and the Atlantik-Bruecke are bringing together an impressive circle of policymakers, private sector leaders, and experts from the US and Europe. We are looking forward to interesting sessions and inspiring talks. I'm very honored to welcome ECB President Christine Lagarde. And also EU Commissioner Paolo Gentiloni. Since 2014, the new headquarters of the European Central Bank, which is located nearby our River Main, enriches the Frankfurt skyline. From there is only a short walk to the Frankfurt Stock Exchange here in our building, with a trading floor right next to this conference hall. It's there. The trading of securities has been part of the interaction of businessmen since the founding of this chamber more than 210 years ago. The short distances within the city of Frankfurt, the central location of Frankfurt in Germany and in Europe, together with its perfect connectivity, make this place an important hub for business and investment. Economic ties with the United States have traditionally been very strong. For the main business sectors in this region, be in financial and IT services, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, or other industry sectors, the US market is extremely important. It is our trading partner and foreign direct investment destination number one. At the same time, we are very proud of our US business community here in this region. Transatlantic cooperation creates jobs and welfare on both sides. The exchange of ideas and knowledge is extremely important. The great success story of Pfizer-BioNTech in fighting the pandemic is an unique example, but it also shows the potential of transatlantic cooperation. BioNTech's headquarters is based in our Frankfurt region, in city of Mainz, just a short ride away from Frankfurt Airport. Ladies and gentlemen, after decades with the trade to more open markets and free agreements, we are today facing a new reality with a war in Europe and other geopolitical challenges with economic sanctions and unstable supply chain. Even the pandemic is not over, but still affecting production and logistics worldwide. So how can companies meet this bundle of challenges? To give answers is one of the reasons for this US-European forum. We need more partnership between European Union and the United States for better solutions. Thanks again to have you here in our building. Now it is my pleasure to hand over to the chairman of Atlantic organization, Mr. Kemper. Please.
Thank you, Ulrich, and I'll thank Sigmar when he's here, and everyone in Frankfurt this morning. This is a homecoming for me. One of my first jobs in journalism was working at AP Dow Jones in Frankfurt, and covering the Bundesbank and covering the German economy. And I'm always happy to come back to Frankfurt. My mother was born in Berlin. My father was born in a small town outside Dresden, so this is very much home to me. We're giving birth today to the Frankfurt Forum on U.S.-European geoeconomics, and when something is born in Frankfurt, one cannot help but think of Goethe. And so I will quote Goethe. He wrote about his birth this way. It was on the 28th of August, 1749, at the stroke of 12 noon, that I came into the world in Frankfurt am Main. The constellation was auspicious. So my paraphrase for the opening of the Frankfurt Forum, it is the 28th of September, 2002, at the stroke of just past 9 in the morning, when the Frankfurt Forum came into the world. The constellation of speakers and attendees is auspicious. So that's my ripping off of Goethe to start the day. Goethe would be so happy to get a round of applause. Both because of my personal life, but also because of my professional connections, I was excited when over 2 years ago we decided we wanted to do something of this sort in Frankfurt. We could co-host a major event in Germany focused on the intersection of economics, foreign policy, finance, and national security. We would work with the best minds in Europe to produce cutting-edge research around 4 key pillars of the U.S.-European economic relationship: monetary policy, digital currencies, international trade, and economic statecraft. I don't think any of us anticipated, however, when we made this decision, that the conference would happen at the sort of moment we're living in now. 7 months ago, Vladimir Putin launched his war in Ukraine, unprovoked, illegal, and the US and Europe responded. With military assistance, yes, but along with something else, and that is combined economic power. Some said this signaled a new era of economic warfare, of economic tools being used at a time of this sort of contest. They called it a redefinition of how the tools of finance could be deployed. But I think that's not quite right. I think in many respects it's a return to the lessons of the Cold War, a hard-learned lesson born out of the crucible of World War II even. The lesson of the Marshall Plan, the lesson of the coal and steel community, the single market, German reunification, and the creation of the euro itself. And that lesson is this, and this is a lesson we have tried to capture in our geoeconomics center, that economics, finance, and national security are deeply interconnected and interdependent. And in Europe, you're living that reality every day, even before the war in Ukraine, but of course, much more so now. And the Geoeconomic Center, alongside the other 15 programs and centers of the Atlantic Council, can tap our Africa Center, our Energy Center, our Center for the Scowcroft Center for Strategy and Security, so that we bring together all these elements that have to be brought together at the moment. It's also the lesson that was there at the founding of the Atlantic Council 60 years ago. The Atlantic Council was created to foster a strong U.S.-European military relationship and a robust economic partnership between the world's leading economies. From the very beginning, the Atlantic Council was really there about both. And for years, it seemed as though we were operating on different tracks, an economic track and a security track, but no more. It really is our Geoeconomic Center that has brought these pillars back together. Of course, none of this forum would be possible without our remarkable partners at Atlantik-Bruecke. So Sigmar, Julia, to you and your team, thank you. This has been a transatlantic partnership from day one, and we look forward to building upon it. Today's just the beginning. We believe the work and research published and debated here can form a blueprint for more peace and prosperity in the years ahead. We can turn the unity seen in this crisis into cooperation over the course of the decade. We're closer right now in the West, probably than we've been in the last 30 years. And we're facing a situation, the outcome of Ukraine won't just determine the outcome of Ukraine. It could be the outcome of what kind of rules determine the liberal order for the years ahead. Will it be the rules of the jungle, or will it be the rule of law? That road will not be easy, but this much I know for certain. The United States and Europe are both stronger and safer when they stand together. And while much has changed in the past 7 months, this much remains true. And now, when we thought about this conference, there was only one official European leader that we could have to launch the conference, as we talked about the world we were in today, who could set the tone for what we wanted to accomplish today. And that one leader who, by virtue of her extraordinary career, embodies this fusion of finance and international affairs and also global affairs. And that leader is Christine Lagarde. It's wonderful to welcome you here. President Lagarde, you are a transatlanticist, you are a Europeanist, you are a globalist. Your career reflects deep connections between Europe and the United States. From your time as a young woman studying in Washington, through your work chairing the law firm Baker McKenzie, which is when we first met. But we know that Europe is where your home and your heart is. And when the phone rang and you were asked to serve in the French government, you didn't hesitate. When the world needed a leader to ensure the IMF was fit for purpose through a turbulent decade, you were there. And today, as Europe faces new challenges, you serve as the head of an institution dedicated to strengthening the common currency, the euro, which underpins so much of this incredible union. At its core, I know you believe that what matters most is how the work we all do impacts and improves people's lives. That's what you've always been about. This is a concept sometimes lost on others, never lost on you. I'm very proud, President Lagarde, that when I was the editor of the Wall Street Journal Europe, we picked you out as one of the leading and rising business leaders of Europe. But none of us at the Wall Street Journal then knew you would take on so much responsibility at such a crucial historic moment. And before I pass to Maria Demertzis, the Deputy Director of Bruegel, for our opening keynote conversation, I want to go back to Goethe to talk a little bit about Christine Lagarde. So Goethe said, and I'll do this first in German, es ist nichts schrecklicher als eine tätige Unwissenheit. The quote is, there's nothing worse than ignorance in action. So Goethe would have loved you, President Lagarde. You are intelligence in action. So with that, please join me in welcoming the President of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde.